What's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful. How's everybody doing? Hope everyone is having a legendary week. We got Brian waiting in the green screen or the green room. Green screen. Why the hell did I call it green screen? The green room. But before we go ahead and bring him on, we're of course going to remind everybody to listen to the end of the show to get your special coupon code to save 10% off of For the Faithful by the Faithful Apparel, exclusively available at ninerfaithfulradio.com/shop. And of course, as everybody knows, April 30th, we got season 2 of For the Faithful by the Faithful coming to y'all. Make sure you tune in to Niner Faithful Radio's and Niner Faithful Radio shops, social media, so that you can go ahead and see our designs. We're going to go ahead and we got this whole marketing scheme thing going on and everything like that. It's pretty dope. Okay, so make sure you help out Niner Faithful Radio by using our affiliate link. Not only do you save 10%, but it really does help out the show. All you have to do is click on the link in the description of the podcast or video. Go ahead and go to SeatGiant.com. Use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio, all one word, to save on all your theater, concert, and sporting event tickets, as well as help out the show. Go ahead and subscribe to Niner Faithful Radio by going to ninerfaithfulradio.com/subscribe and follow us on social media at Niner Faithful Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr, and Niner Faithful R on Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, faith of all ages, let's get the show cracking.
You are now listening to Niner Faithful Radio, the show for the faithful, by the faithful.
Man, that seemed like on crack. I had two different intros going on and everything like that. That was horrible. All right, so we're back. Of course, I'm delaying as always. Swear it'll only take me 2 seconds. All right, there we go. So we're live and direct. Yeah, we're live on YouTube, live on Facebook, live on Twitch. All right, let's go. Oh, wait, we lost him. We lost Brian. Let me go ahead and, man, the show's just off to a wonderful start. All right, well, okay, good. That's sent. So we'll go ahead and wait while we wait for Brian to come back. The Niners, there he is right there. What's cracking with you, bro?
Sorry about that. It's been so long since I've been here.
It's all good, bro. It's all good.
Happy to be back here. And I finally got my spring break. That's why I'm able to hop on real quick.
Yeah. No, I definitely know how that is, bro. So the Niners have signed two receivers, Marcus Johnson and wide receiver Malik Turner, to 1-year deals. Also re-signed Maurice Hurst, apparently, into the deal he signed March 10th. I don't know if they released him and just re-signed him. Probably some cap manipulation. Anyway, so it has been a while since we've been able to get you on, Brian, and everything like that. So real quick, free agency, just what are your thoughts real quick on that?
As far as getting out players, I know we still have Jimmy under contract, which I think none of the 49ers fans expected him to be here this late. But we did fill in our roster need, which is cornerback. I like the corner that we signed. I don't think we paid him big bucks, and I don't think he's worth big bucks, but I think he could easily be quarterback number 1 ahead of Eman. But That's literally our biggest move. I, I'm going blank right now.
Yeah, that pretty much was it. That and bolstering our special teams.
Yeah.
Look, I've been watching some highlights, and I try to take highlights with the grain of sand because they're literally supposed to be the best plays that a player has made. That's why if I go to study a player, mostly draft prospects, I prefer to go to people who have done all 22 breakdowns because they'll show the good plays, they'll show the bad plays, they'll show strengths, they'll show weaknesses, and I feel that you get a better overall sense of what a player is versus just watching a 6-minute highlight film or a 3-minute highlight clip on YouTube. But it was a need, and I think that like the days of us trading for Dion, spending, I believe it was our first 3 picks in 81 that we all spent on the backfield. Those days are over. I just think this regime, whether you want to agree with it or not, this regime just says we are not going to invest in the secondary. We believe a pass rush is going to be having a great pass rush is better than having a great secondary. And so as we're going to go ahead and we'll get into the draft a little bit later, we're still going to get into Debo rumors. I want us to draft a guard or a safety. Ideally, I would be okay if the team said, look, we drafted a guard 2nd round last year. We're not giving up on Aaron Banks, and we're not spending premium draft capital, especially in a year where we don't have a 1st round pick. We're just not going to spend another 2nd round pick on a guard. But hey, we went ahead and got this safety. Personally, I want Daxton Hill. I know that's kind of a pipe dream or anything like that, but to me, he's the best of both worlds. He's versatile and can do what I think this draft should do, which is start looking at replacements for Jimmy Ward. Some of these players, even an offensive lineman that we can kick inside a guard for a year. And if necessary, we don't hold on Mike McGlinchey beyond this year. You can go ahead and slide him out to right tackle. I think that's something that the team needs to start looking ahead to. Like, look, is Mike McGlinchey worth the 2nd contract? I mean, I shouldn't say I believe he's worth the 2nd contract. Is Mike McGlinchey worth the money that he might ask for?
I don't think he's worth like a contract that like how he was drafted, and like we drafted him early. I don't think he deserves that 1st round contract.
I mean, to me, I'm not breaking the bank for Mike McGlinchey. I'm very, hey Mike, this is our contract. We feel that, like you said, respecting the fact that you're a 1st round pick, pedigree, up until last season, stayed relatively healthy throughout his career. And coaches will tell you they'll take a player that has average ability but is available every single game than a player who's a superstar that they don't know if they can depend on.
Yeah.
Coaches will always say we'll take, at least my coaches that I've been around and coaches I spoke to said, we'll take the player that we know is going to be there game in and game out, because you can game plan around weaknesses.
Yeah.
You can game plan around weaknesses. So, which is why I believe Lincoln Tomlinson was such a big loss in free agency, because say what you want, and I haven't met too many people that talked about Lincoln as a run blocker or a pass blocker, but say whatever you want about the man's ability as a left guard. He was there game in and game out. And so I think he might have, I think it was something crazy. Like he only missed like 4 snaps in the 5 seasons he was with the Niners. 17, 18, 19, 20.
I think it was something like that.
Yeah, something ridiculous. Because I know he missed the first game because we signed him week 1. We traded for him week 1 of 2017. So I know he missed the first game. But I don't believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe he missed another game in his Niner career. So those type of things are important. So I'm not breaking them. Anyway, getting on to, but I agree with you in the sense that it was a need. And it reaffirms to me what I say every year. Say what you want and say what you want about the players that they get to do it, but this regime addresses the needs of the team. I don't feel that there's any glaring need that everybody in the planet sees the Niners need something and they just strictly ignore it.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from because I know a lot of fans want this crazy moves. The 49ers need this, 49ers. No, we just came off an NFC championship. We didn't win it, but we had the team built around that, and we could have won it. We could have went to the Super Bowl. We could have put ourselves in the best chance to win a Super Bowl.
Look, honestly, I've adjusted my initial thought. Initially, I put the NFC Championship loss on the D just because I said, look, we know what Jimmy is. We know what this offense was. You know, we just Cooper Kupp killed us and we couldn't get off the field on third down. But as I've gone back and rewatched it and had some people say, hey, bro, you know, and show me offensive statistics and stuff like that. And I'm not saying the offense played great by any means in the NFC Championship game. But I believe we're probably a quarterback away. I believe if we have a Trey Lance with a season of experience, maybe two, whatever. I believe that if Trey Lance is 30% of what we think he's going to be, I believe we win that game. So, to me, I don't think there's drastic changes that need to happen on this roster. I think the secondary was an issue last year. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Obviously, having saying Cooper Kupp killed us. So I do believe our secondary was an issue. And the quarterback, which obviously we made, I guess it's not official, obviously, because Jimmy's still on the roster. But let's be real. Trey Lance is the starting quarterback this year. So we made the transition at the quarterback position and upgraded our secondary. To me, obviously, you know, games aren't won on paper, but to me, that's enough. Sure, you would like to add a second pass rusher beyond Nick Bosa. Yeah, you would like to add more secondary depth. You would like to fix, you know, who the hell is going to be our left guard, our right guard. Well, you assume Aaron Banks. Those are things that, of course, you would like to address. But as far as saying, hey, have the Niners done enough to maintain the pedestal that they had with you know, getting in the playoffs and making the NFC Championship game? Yes, I do. Because the NFC's gotten significantly weaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do not believe that the Yams are a better team than us. I don't. I think more of what happened in the NFC Championship game is it's hard to beat a team 7 times in a row. It's hard to beat a divisional opponent. Let's be real. There ain't no secrets between the Niners and Yams. They know what we're going to do, and we know what they're going to do. So it's hard to beat a team 7 times. Fluke shit happens. Jaquiski Tartt drops a pick. You know, Cooper Kupp makes some freak athletic catches. You know, they didn't turn the ball over. Well, they did. That actually was a little disappointing. But, you know, Debo didn't go off. You know, those are things that are things that are easily rectifiable. There's nothing that I think makes the Yams a better football team than us. We have no business losing to the Seahawks next year. We have absolutely no business losing to them. Arizona, okay, fine, whatever. We split with Arizona just because you're not going to sweep the division every year. And this is still a good one. I believe the AFC and the NFC West are the most competitive divisions in football.
Yeah.
When you think of the top tier teams, at least 3 of the 4 teams. I know the Seahawks aren't there, but I would say that the Cardinals would definitely be a playoff team in the AFC, and before all the quarterbacks and all that has happened. So, I agree with you. I think we're fine. Going into the draft, the more I think about it, the more I see edge rusher. And I'm not going to say I don't like it. because look, I was there almost every single home game of 2019. I saw what this football team can be with an incredible, insane, probably the best D line in team history. But I seen it. But does that make us the best football team? Because pass rushes can have an off game. So what does this team do when the pass rush ain't clicking? What does this team do then?
I think the part of that is the depth that we have, the rotation. I like it. I think that's why we don't have to spend big money on corner. I mean, we started a rookie corner last season, and we got to the NFC Championship because not 7 times out of 10, I think John Lynch is going to draft a defensive end or defensive tackle in the first round.
Oh, I'm not against drafting a D lineman. Bill Walsh had a theory that you took a quarterback every year. You know, and if you take quarterbacks every year, eventually you're just going to get one that sticks. So I have no problem drafting a D lineman in this draft because I believe we have the best D lineman we have the best D line coach in football. And but I don't believe that we need a second round pick. No, we don't need a second round pick to be a D lineman when there's some players available in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th rounds that have some talent. Maybe they didn't run as well in the pro day. Maybe they had some off the field issues. Maybe they need to work on those techniques. Things that I'm saying, hey, you know what? We get this 6th round, 5th round, 4th round draft prospect who has all the tools. He just needs somebody to teach him, you know, how to use the tools, i.e. Chris Kocurek, our D-line coach. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah,
I believe that's the best way to go about it, unless you're in the position, of course, to draft a Nick Bosa or Myles Garrett, et cetera, et cetera. I'm fine with 2 positions. I'm fine with this team. I don't believe we need to draft. I don't believe besides Fred Warner, we need to sign linebackers because believe it or not, that's actually been one of the greatest things that this coaching staff has done is develop linebackers.
Yeah. Considering
we have one of the best linebacker unit in the league last year between Bam Bam, Dre Greenlaw, and Azeez Al-Shaair. Bam Bam, you expect Bam to be a superstar with being a 3rd round pick, but ain't nobody expected Dre Greenlaw to be as good as he was coming out the 5th round. And nobody damn well expected Azeez Al-Shaair to be as good as he is, especially being a converted safety, who, by the way, was coming off a torn ACL. So I believe losing Johnny Holland this year is going to be, or not Johnny Holland. I was thinking about our tight ends coach. So I have no problem. I have no problem being the Steelers. The Steelers are famous for drafting receivers. They develop them. They might keep 1 or 2 of them, but what do? They let them walk in free agency. Antonio Brown. I believe that's probably going to happen to Juju.
Yeah, they already lost Juju.
Yeah, okay. See, there you go. Shows you how much I pay attention to the Steelers.
Washington as well.
Yeah. So I have no problem with that. But I don't want us to do it the 2nd round. No. Not when, look, I love the man. He's a great player. But majority of Jimmy Ward's career, he's been hurt. So if I tell you a player's been in the league damn near 10 years, and I believe, 7 out of those, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So he's been in the league 8 years. Last year was his 8th season. I believe it was 6 out of the 8 or 7 out of the 8 were ended on, or 5 out of the 8 were ended on IR. So would you believe the last 2 years were the outlier or the trend? So history would tell me that Jimmy Ward finishing the last 2 seasons healthy was the outlier in his career, not the norm. Knock on wood. I wish no ill will towards the man. I love Jimmy Ward. I believe he's one of the biggest reasons why we were in the NFC Championship game to begin with. But Jimmy Ward can't play forever. And I don't need to see Talanoa love him. I think he has an important role in this defense, but I don't need to see Talanoa Hufanga lining up there at single high. And Travarius Moore, who, by the way, is coming off of torn Achilles. So we need to look ahead of the future. That's just the way I'm looking at it. It is, I want our first pick. I don't care about second, third, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. You want to draft D linemen, you want to draft linebackers, receivers, centers, whatever you want to do. I'm looking at Alex Mack, I'm looking at Mike McGlinchey, and I'm looking at Jimmy Ward, and I'm going to say, what's your answer for those three players? Which, by the way, center plays a huge role in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Right tackle is a pretty damn big position. And free safety, which is all basically we all know, the eraser, the basically the last line of defense of your secondary. Brian, how are you feeling about the draft?
I agree with you. Center, we almost lost Alex Mack. Reports coming in. He was thinking about retiring.
He's going to retire
back
next year.
Yeah. I think there's no doubt about it. I saw a film on this guy. He could play guard and center. I really like that. Versatility is nice. And just in case a guy goes down, he's a rookie. Pretty sure he's not going to get playing time. But just standing behind Alex Mack by 1 year, that would be great for a player.
Look, majority of these players, except maybe second, third round, I'm not expecting to be year one starters.
Yeah.
Even if we took a safety in the first round, I mean, you would expect that he would be a starter, at least compete, since we didn't re-sign Jaquiski Tartt. And I hope a second round pick beats out Travarius Moore and Talanoa Hufanga. I would just hope that would happen, that a second round player would be able to beat out those players. But I don't need whatever player to be a starter. I'm perfectly fine developing, taking a developmental piece. If you say, hey, look, this player X is going to go ahead and play guard for us for a year, and then when Alex Mack retires next year, we're going to kick him into center. Okay, fine. I'm okay with that because you're addressing a need this year while addressing the future. Because I believe that this team is going to be in transition. And with Debo, which we'll go ahead and get into the Debo trades here in a second, with Debo demanding $27 million a year, you know damn well Nick Bosa is going to be the highest paid defensive player in NFL history until obviously the next D lineman comes up for a contract. But Nick Bosa is basically, it's going to be a blank check to sign Nick Bosa.
A lot of money. A lot of money.
You got Fred Warner's contract, I believe, kicking in this year. George Kittle's starting to get expensive. They just picked up Juice's contract, which gets more expensive next year.
Trent.
You're gonna obviously, assuming that you have a new contract for Debo, you're gonna have to pay Brandon Ayuk after this year.
It's a lot of money.
We're going to have to start saying goodbye to some players. You can't make everybody the highest paid player at their position. That's not, that football doesn't work like that.
We have that option for 4 more years. We have Trey coming in. His development, we don't know yet. We barely see him touch the field, but as soon as we see him, I mean, we're expendable. Once he shows some types of excellency, we're going to have to pay some type of money to other free agents. And we're going to have to get younger in draft as well as soon as that 4 years is up.
Exactly. This is everybody talks about Super Bowl windows. To me, the best chance, not the only, I want to make that clear, but the best chance the Niners have is with why Trey Lance is on this rookie contract for the next 3 more years. That's the best chance the Niners have. With this construction, Kittle, Debo, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, the current structure of the Niners that we see right now, the best opportunity to win a Super Bowl is within the next 3 seasons. After that, I think it gets more difficult to win it with the current core because you're probably going to have to say goodbye to Kittle. when it gets time to re-sign Trey Lance, you're probably going to have to say goodbye to Kittle Corn. It's just they're not going to say goodbye to Trent Williams. You're not going to say goodbye to your left tackle.
Yeah,
It's just going to be too expensive.
and
To keep
also,
Kittle and Juice, and you know, you're going to have to pay eventually. You're going to have to pay Trent Greenlaw. Eventually, E-Man's going to stop taking 1-year deals. You know, and then what are you going to do then? So that's to me what this draft's about. Yeah, okay, we have needs for 2022. I get that. But what about 2023, 2024? You know, when this team is when it's going to be at the peak of, okay, this is going to be the best we get Trey Lance before we have to pay him, you know, or make the decision to pay him, while still being able to maintain the salary cap flexibility to keep your superstar players, to build the best team around Trey. Because let's be real, the Niners' idea of competing this year is we're going to be great defensively, and we believe that Kyle can put enough of an offense together, and you know we'll be able to survive some up and downs by Trey Lance. That I think that's how we plan to win this year. Okay, now Brian, I guess we'll spend this last little couple minutes of the show. Debo's representative calls you and says, "We are not taking less than $27 million a year. I want $70 million guaranteed, $27 million a year. Do you do it?" Mind you, and this is something, because I'm not gonna lie, I was like, of course you do it. When the fuck has the Niners had a 1,000-yard receiver, dude? It was out ankle and Bolden. But somebody brought up Debo's only started 31 of 48 possible games.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna and Grant Cohn, and I know how some of our listeners feel about Grant Cohn, but he got him and Larry Krueger, who I really respect. Larry Krueger is actually one of the reasons I started Niner Faithful Radio and wanted to get into sports talk, was listening to Larry Krueger on KNBR. He brought up a great point, that if you pay Debo $27 million, you can't use him as a running back. You can't. You cannot pay a $27 million receiver and line him up on 4th and 1 at the 1. 4th and goal at the 1-yard line. You can't sustain. Debo can't take the type of hits that he's taking this year. You can't have $27 million riding the bench. If you said you couldn't have 27, if you said you can't have $27 million riding the bench with Jimmy, right? Remember, that was a big thing when Jimmy was on IR in 2020. We have $27 million riding the bench in Jimmy. But it's okay for $27 million to ride on the bench with Debo? So you can't use Debo the way that what makes Debo worth $27 million is how versatile he is, how many ways you can use him. That's why Debo's worth $27 million.
I don't think he's worth that much in a different offense. There's no other head coach that's going to use Debo how Kyle Shanahan uses Debo. No way. Maybe Sean McVay. I don't see.
I think they would, but I don't think they'd be as good at doing it than Kyle Shanahan does. Mm-hmm. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you're not going to use Debo the way you used him last year, which is what makes him worth $27 million, then Debo's not worth $27 million if you can't use him the way that makes him worth $27 million. Mm-hmm. So I want to sign Debo. I do. Do I believe he's important? Yes, I do believe he played a leader. You could say, sure, did he come out of camp in shape in 2020 and he never got on the right footing? Sure. But you know what? I do believe that's a life lesson learned. Mm-hmm. I do believe Debo learned his lesson from that. So I'm going, if Debo's representation calls me, I'm saying, look, I'm structuring it where it's basically a year-by-year deal. Okay, I'll do it like Kittle's, where you got to guarantee it the year before. So, an example, they would have to guarantee 2024 and 2023, 2025 and 2024, et cetera, et cetera. I'll give them that. So that, you're not basically just cut April 1st and don't know what the fuck to do. You at least have a year. So, I'll give them that, but I'm basically making a year-to-year contract. I'm not giving him. I'm not basically having Debo be tied to the Niners for the next 4, 5, 6 years. Because
I would give him like the Mike Williams contract, the way the Chargers restructured his contract. It's actually smart. They give him $28 million his first year, and he gets $2 million of the following year. I would do that with Debo, just because situation with injuries, how he will get in next seasons, especially how the way we use him. Are we gonna really expect Debo to stay healthy?
That's what I'm saying.
Preseason all the way to Super Bowl, NFC Championship.
What we're going to rely on him heavily the more the season goes on. Exactly my point. Look, I don't want to seem callous and cold-hearted when I say this, but I don't think Debo's going to have that long of a career. I think he just plays a too physical brand of football, which is why we love him. Why I'm yelling, tuck your chain, and I go psycho every time he touches the football, because every time he touches the football, he could literally knock out somebody's mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Like, who the hell doesn't love to watch that? Man, my juices are flowing just talking about it. But for the financial health of my football team, no. Debo's not going to be around forever. Why? Because Debo's not going to be able to have a 10-year career because his body's not going to be able to withstand it. Same with Kittle. Now, I think Kittle will be more likely to do it because I believe he's just psycho enough, and just he's cut from a different, not saying that Debo's not crazy or tough or anything like that, but I believe George Kittle's a different animal.
Uh-huh.
But then again, a tight end, you're in the trenches, so who knows? But I'm basically essentially giving Debo a year-to-year contract. I'll guarantee it the year before, like Kittle's is, or you want to say 2 years in advance, or whatever the language has to be. But I'm not basically guaranteeing Debo. He's not becoming the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. I'm not doing that for Debo. I'll do that for Nick Bosa. Nick, I will make you the highest paid NFL player, defensive NFL player in history. I have no problem doing that with Nick Bosa.
I think Nick Bosa and Debo Samuel had the same situation, but
okay. So then let me ask you this: Who's more important to the success of the present and future of the Niners, Nick Bosa or Debo?
Future-wise, I would have to go Nick, because.
And that's why I'm saying I'm not guaranteed, because they both have injury risk.
Uh-huh.
Let's not get it twisted. Knock on wood. Say your Hail Marys, everything. But let's not pretend like Nick Bosa doesn't have his own injury concerns. Okay. But to me, it's you just can't find a Nick Bosa just willy-nilly. If now I understand you can't find Debo willy-nilly, but you can find a receiver. You can get Debo's production through multiple players. There's no such thing as getting Nick Bosa's production. And not just his production as far as sacks, but his presence and what his presence has to do. I understand that Debo is like this player on offense, but I promise you, every single defensive coaching staff in the NFL starts their offensive game plan by saying, we need to stop number 97. I promise you, there's not offensive mind in the NFL that doesn't believe that when you play the Niners, the only way that you're possibly going to have success that day is by stopping number 97. Now, sure, people say that about Debo, but not at the level. Because I promise you, if you stop Debo, other players can go off in our offense. You stop Nick Bosa, it's going to be a rough day. Because I would dare to define me out of the 1,000, 2,000, whatever 1,000 plays that Nick Bosa has, find me more than 20 plays where Nick Bosa didn't have an impact on the play somehow. He beat his man, his pressure made the quarterback step up or something like that. There are plays that there are more plays that Deebo Samuel has zero impact on. Nick Bosa has an impact on pretty much every play. Because at the very least, he's causing the protection to slide his way, which is literally impacting the offense right there.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that. It's just, I was just comparing like how they had both the same like success like in their rookie season and then had a slump their second season, and then they both had career best seasons this year. But money wise, like you said, we can't pay every position the highest paid, especially because we're thinking about the future, our Super Bowl window. But Deebo Samuel is gonna get money. I don't think it's gonna be the highest paid quarterback, non-paid. I wrote that wrong, but he's gonna be up there. He's not the best route runner. He's a good receiver. Just
Deebo's not the best receiver in the NFL. Deebo's just the most unique receiver in the NFL, but Deebo's not the best receiver in the NFL. And I think ultimately the best negotiating tool that the Niners have is, okay, cool, you want 27 to 30 million a year, go find a team willing to pay it. Because I promise you, either teams are good enough that they probably don't have the cap space, or they're not good enough that, yeah, okay, but is your team really a Deebo away from being a contender? You know, I think sometimes it's business negotiations 101. It's never what you're worth. It's what somebody's willing to pay you. I believe I could be worth $1 million an hour. The Niner knowledge I have, you know, the recall of this football team that I have is, I don't think there's too many people that are on par with me that are my age. Definitely people who are older than me. Yeah, okay, I'll give it to some people who are actually around in 1981. You feel me? Cool. But anybody 36 or younger, there are very few people that can mess with me on Niners trivia. Very few. But guess what? If nobody's willing to pay me $1 million, I think I'm worth more than 1720 at my job. But guess what? My boss doesn't. So, you know, what is she going to tell me? Cool, go find somebody who's willing to pay you more than 1720 an hour to be stock, you know, at Dollar Tree. So it's not necessarily what you think you're worth. It's what people are willing to pay you. And you know what? If there's somebody that wants to give Deebo everything he wants and wreck their salary cap for the next 5 years and give us first round picks while doing it, and take Jimmy off our hands, I tip my cap to you. I'll drive Deebo to the airport right now. Look, that's just business, bro. Okay, if you're willing to wreck your salary cap, give us a first and a first and second this year, and like a first or a third next year, and take Jimmy off our hands, I'll drive Deebo to the airport myself. Mind you, as long as I pass my driving test on Friday. If I don't, then I can't drive him. But if I do, then I can drive him. But
so that's what you're asking for? A first, second, and then a first and third next year?
No, first to second this year, and then maybe I'll do a third next year. Or if you take Jimmy, I'll do a fourth next year. If you're going to take Jimmy and take his salary, shit, I might just do it for first and second if you're willing to take all Jimmy's contract. If somebody had a gun to my head and said, look, first and second, and we'll take Debo and Jimmy, maybe throw us in a compensatory pick or something, I'd do it.
Yeah.
I'd do it. And say that, you know what? You can go out and with those picks, you can find yourself a receiver, or you go find yourself multiple receivers. Because let's not forget, one key factor here is Kyle Shanahan's ego. And you brought it up best when you said, I don't think that there's somebody that can get out of Debo what Kyle Shanahan can get out of Debo. And I don't think so either. And I think that Kyle is going to say, I can get that type of production out of another player or another multiple players. Maybe not one player, but you know what? You give me those picks and we'll pick some players that I can get that type of production with.
I know damn well that would happen.
Yeah. But also another factor that we're not talking about this too is from everything I heard, Kyle and Debo actually have a very close relationship. And apparently they are very, very close. And so that goes into the factors too, because I don't care what anybody tells me. Trent Williams was going to the Chiefs until Kyle Shanahan said, no, you sign him. That's how we got Trent Williams. Trent Williams was going to the Chiefs. Trent called Kyle, basically said, you want me, make it happen. And Kyle basically made it happen. That's what happened with Trent Williams, because there's no way Parag was going to pay that type of contract.
Yeah.
But Kyle Shanahan said, I don't give a shit what you got to do. Let's not be real. Basically, the only person above Kyle Shanahan in the Niner organization is Jed York. The only person that can tell Kyle no is Jed York.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan's basically essentially everybody else's boss. So basically, Kyle basically made the phone call and said, I'm your boss. Do as I say. Get this done. I need number 71. And that's the only reason Trent Williams is probably going to finish his career in red and gold. It's because Kyle. And so I think it might come down with that. But I think the thing that makes it not bad for the Niners for Kyle Shanahan to have that is like Kyle explained it with Defoe. Look, we'd love to keep Defoe. But if you mean that cost me Jimmy Ward, Richard Sherman, if that means you cost me 4 players just for Defoe, no, I'm not going to make that trade for Defoe.
Oh,
and at least Kyle Shanahan has the sense to say that, to say, hey, look, I love Defoe. That one hurt. I really do believe Kyle Shanahan when he said, look, we did not want to trade DeForest Buckner. I really do. I really believe Kyle Shanahan when he says that. But yeah, you know what? What's best for the overall football team? To spend $20 million on one player or spread it around between Jimmy Ward, Eric Armstead, George Kittle? Look, I don't like it any much. And of course the Niners lost on the DeForest Buckner trade. Of course they did.
Oh, yeah, that goes a big factor, I believe. If the 49ers would have hit on Javon Kinlaw, I think they would have, all right, we're comfortable trading away Deebo Samuel because we have done this before. We traded D-Bug to get a younger D-Bug, but unfortunately it didn't work out with Javon Kinlaw.
I've always said this. I think the most unfair thing that happened to Javon Kinlaw was he was drafted essentially with the pick, not only the year that we traded Defoe, but also essentially with the pick that we traded for Defoe. Essentially, yeah, we traded down, but basically we picked Javon Kinlaw with the first round pick that we got for DeForest Buckner. I think that will forever be held over Javon Kinlaw's head, and I don't think that's very fair. Because I never expected Javon Kinlaw to live up to what DeForest Buckner is. This is the same thing with Solomon Thomas. I think if we would have got Solomon Thomas in the 5th round and George Kittle in the 1st round, nobody would be talking shit about Solomon Thomas. It was the 3rd overall pick, and it's unfair to him because Solomon Thomas was never going to hold up to being the 3rd overall pick.
Yeah.
Honestly, truthfully, I think the Niners got it reversed. I think now, obviously, in hindsight, not. But at the time, I thought we should have took Reuben Foster third and drafted Solomon Thomas 31st. To me, Reuben Foster was a better prospect. But, the issue at the combine, and as we all see, there was a reason that, many teams took him off their draft board.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great point that you brought up. Is the fact is that, you know what, they swung a miss on Javon Kinlaw. Sure, he could end up being a fine pro. But, I mean, if the Colts called right now and called John Lynch right now and said, we'll trade you for DeForest Buckner for Javon Kinlaw, John Lynch ain't even going to be able to hang up the phone before he says yes. I promise you. I promise you that they would kill to have Javon or to have DeForest Buckner back in this defense. All right, Brian. We're gonna go ahead and let you go and everything, but any final thoughts before we get up out of here?
No, it's just 49ers just made a big decision right now. I don't think we're gonna trade.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
But the fact that we're talking about trading Debo and not Jimmy is kind of painful. I like Jimmy still. If he's still on the roster, 2022, week 3, I wouldn't. But
look, we'll get into if Jimmy's still on the roster. Look, do I think it gets done? No. Why? Why do I think it gets done? Because you know what? This organization takes care of its own. Now, if Debo's just saying, if John Lynch comes and says, look, he just wanted $35 million a year and we just can't afford to play a receiver $35 million a year. Yeah. Okay, I'm not blaming John Lynch for that. That's on Debo. Like, look, bro, you got to be reasonable here. Like, I'm all for players getting their money and everything like that, but not at the cost of the overall health of the franchise.
Coming from a player, too, John Lynch.
Yeah, exactly. So I believe that, you know what? Do I believe Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have a relationship with the players? Yeah, they drafted them. I mean, like, if somebody made your NFL dream come true, wouldn't you have a relationship with them too? Like, They drafted these players. They work with them. They see them more than their own family. Now, it's business, and so you can't let personal relationships interfere with business. You know? But, yeah, I think it will get done. Why? Because the Niners take care of their own. And if you're not giving that money to Debo, and, I mean, if this doesn't say anything, I hope this does. If y'all give me 1 second, let me share my screen. All right, Brian, we'll go ahead and let you go. And we'll go ahead and we'll see you draft week.
Yeah, sounds good. Take care, man.
All right, bro. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get up out of here. Where can I share my screen? Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. So this is the Niners website right now. Let it load. Where was it? Are they going to have a player on the front page for luxury box seats that they're planning to trade? It was right here, too, earlier. Hold on. But boom, right there. I mean, you think they're going to have Debo on that if they plan to trade him? I don't think so. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. But before we do, we want to go ahead and remind everybody to help out Niner Faithful Radio by using our affiliate link and save 10%. All you have to do is click on the link in the description of this video or podcast. Go to cgiant.com, use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio to save on all your theater, concert, and sporting event tickets. Go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com/subscribe to see everywhere you can find the show. And, of course, follow us on social media on Niner Faithful at Niner Faithful Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr, and at Niner Faithful R on Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, the special 10% code for this week to save 10% on For the Faithful by the Faithful apparel is HOPE. Code will basically expire season 2. No on sale stuff. I shall see y'all next week. Till then, faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners.
You are now listening to Niner Faithful Radio, the show for the faithful, by the faithful.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.